Turtle.
She was a model, actress, and singer. Elton John recorded a tribute to her. In December of 1953, she was nicknamed Sweetheart of the Month by Playboy magazine. In 1947, she was crowned Miss California Artichoke Queen. Her name is Norma Jean, but we know her as Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was born on June 1st, 1926, in L.A. Marilyn's mother did not take care of her. She just threw her on her grandmother because she wanted to pursue her acting career. No one really knew who her real father was. Marilyn Monroe's mother told her that it was always between two men, and that was never really discovered. Her grandmother Delia died when she was 51 in a mental hospital, and so after that Marilyn was sent to an orphanage. Around the age of 8, she was adopted and living with her family when her adoptive father took her into a room and assaulted her. And when she told her adopted mother what had happened, her adopted mother slapped her and said, "You shut up, he's a good working man." After that, they took her back to the orphanage and she got adopted again. And around the age of 14 or 15, it said that she had a baby boy. She had a baby son. There were two accounts of the story that she gave. She was under psychiatric help, so it's one of the two. One of them says that she had no choice. Her guardian at the time came in with the nurses and said, "We're taking your baby. You have no choice." And Marilyn Monroe just had to sit there and watch, and she never saw him again. Another one was that she never wanted the baby. She was only 14 or 15, and she wanted an abortion from the very start. But she was scared God would punish her, so she just went through with the pregnancy and gave him up for adoption. Just 2 weeks after she turned 16, she got married to a man named Jim Doherty. Her legal guardian at the time, Grace McKee, set up the whole marriage. Her and her family were going on a huge vacation, and they didn't want to carry the weight of Marilyn Monroe. So Grace gave her an ultimatum. She said, either you go back to the orphanage and you're staying at the orphanage, or you're going to marry Jim Doherty and leave us alone. She ended up taking the marriage, and she married Jim Doherty on June 19th, 1942. And it ended in a bad divorce. He was fighting overseas, and he said, "No, you're not going to model when you're with me. You're going to be a good housewife." And so he made her choose. The news got over to him when he was in Russia, and she sent the divorce letters, and she said, "I'm choosing acting," and that was it. After that whole spill, she went off to Hollywood, and she said, "I'm going to accomplish my dream," and soon people started to notice her talent. 20th Century Fox gave her a quick 1-year contract after seeing a couple of pictures of her. They decided she was a fluke. They were like, "No, this is a mistake, I'm sorry." Columbia signed her for 6 months, and they did several little films, including Love Happy. After that, Fox realized what they were missing, and Columbia actually traded Marilyn over to Fox, where Fox gave her a 7-year contract, and she stayed with them the rest of her life. Marilyn and Robert Slatzer, they apparently got married on October 4th, 1952, is what Marilyn Monroe told everyone. They got married in Tijuana, but they destroyed all evidence. That's why there was never anything found on them actually getting married. Robert Slatzer, from the very beginning, denied ever getting married to her. He said it was just an affair. They never even went to Tijuana together. Well, after Marilyn Monroe died, he admitted to getting married to her. But the marriage only lasted for 3 days. In January 14th of 1954, she married the great baseball star Joe DiMaggio, and she ended up divorcing him the same year. It was a bad marriage. They got divorced on October 27, 1954. She told in the divorce papers, she said he was crazy and that he was obsessive and she just needed to get away. After the divorce, she went to New York where she wanted to go to a film acting school. She was getting psychiatric help because she needed to find herself. And at that time, Joe DiMaggio was still stalking her and making sure she wasn't doing anything bad. That's where she met the great playwright of the Western world, Arthur Miller. He was rich, and she said she was in love. Well, after they had gotten married, she had an affair with the Ives Montag, and she said, "I love him way more than I love Arthur, but I'm going to stay with Arthur because he has the money." There was a couple of rumors in the 70s about Monroe having a reported affair with the President John F. Kennedy. Sources say that she loved him and even wanted to get married to him. She would call the White House saying, I want to talk to Kennedy. I'm in love with him. Please. I just want to be with him. Kennedy supposedly told her the affair was off. I'm done. And Monroe became severely, severely depressed. All of her lifetime, Marilyn recorded 30 films and received over 20 awards and nominations and recognitions. While all this was going on, her career seemed to flourish and everything, and her social life and the conflicts within herself became disastrous. She was soon becoming dependent on sleeping pills and then needed alertness during the day. She was on various drugs, which caused weight variations, which in turn caused many costume alterations, so the movies were never on schedule, and she was never on time for anything. During all this, she was still married to Arthur Miller because they were trying to save their marriage, and she was still having an affair with Yves Montand because she was still in love with him. She had several miscarriages and abortions due to the dependence on drugs and alcohol, and she was always drunk and started even drinking in the mornings. After all this and a string of overdoses, Arthur just couldn't stand to stay with her, and he said, I'm done. Her psychoanalysis said that he was becoming worried about her. He said, she's becoming suicidal and someone needs to put her in urgent hospitalization, and no one listened to him. On August 5th, 1962, after getting an urgent phone call from Monroe's housekeeper, her psychiatrist, Ralph Gleason, hurried over to Marilyn Monroe's house where he found her dead in bed and an empty bottle of Nebutal, and Marilyn Monroe was dead. I hope this speech helped everyone learn a little something about the famous Marilyn Monroe. We can end it with a quote. Hollywood is a place where they'll pay you $1,000 for a kiss and 50 cents for your soul.
Is it 6 or 8? I can't tell. Okay, it was 6.